but no one knew the men that came and took his life one night. He knew the game of fisticuffs. He knew the game of fisticuffs.
Happy New Year, buddies. We are Cauliflower for the Year. Remember, our call number is 347-326-9741. I am Brian the Butcher Brown, joined as always by Michael Delicious Dolan. Happy New Year, buddy.
Happy New Year, Dubs. First one of 2012. Let's do it.
Let's do this thing. And, of course, Nick Frack. Happy New Year, pal.
What's up, Dubs? How you guys doing this fine evening?
Pretty good, pretty good. Very good sports weekend. Lots of fights, some great football. How about the Niners, Franco?
Yeah, I'm excited. They able to lock up the 2 seats, so we're going to get the home game against New Orleans, hopefully, which is great because I think that's the only shot that they have to win that game is at home. So I was pumped up to see that. They actually wound up in a fucking shootout with St. Louis. It was a little unexpected. They gave up 27 points to them.
Yeah, they fucked up the spread, dude.
Yeah, I think they might have been trying to conserve people, you know. Obviously, they wanted to win the game and shit, but they had such a big league. I think they started, you know, taking people out and shit and trying to relax so nobody got hurt. So trying to gear up for the playoff run almost cost them that bye week, but what can you do, right?
I don't want to hear you homers talk that, dude. After you guys, you Niner homers, they screwed me with the spread, man. I was in a pick'em league in the last week going in with a 3-way tie for first, and they were covering all day. You just pick, you know, with the spread, and they just killed me at the end. They killed me, Miami killed me, and Tennessee killed me. So, you know, I put up like 6 wins, and, you know, normally I'm putting up 10 a week. So I came in 5th, just enough to be out of the money. It was awesome.
That's good.
What do you call a ambulance?
Bullshit, dude. Kids get married this year. I got some expenses coming up.
That's so you have to put up with a good cry. I love that.
Brian, right, dude? I hope I got a banky for Christmas.
Well, you might have been crying about football, but you did take the lead in our fantasy matchup. I'm not sure if you were aware of that or not.
Oh, well aware. I was sitting with your clowny ass on Friday night watching the fight.
It's true. So that was our 5th event, right? That was the halfway mark. So now we 5 down, 5 to go.
Right. I do believe so.
All right. So we got the way it worked out Saturday night. All 3 of us were 3 out of 5. We each got 3 fights correctly. Pretty average, not bad. I got 20 points, and the 2 of you guys each got 22 points.
Nice.
So the way we sit right now, halfway through it, 3rd place is Senor Dubs with 78 points. I'm in 2nd place with 86 points, and I believe this is his first lead after 15 weeks in the competition, Mr. Dolan, with 88 points.
Believe that.
Wow.
You guys got that first
Congratulations.
round. I appreciate it. See, you guys got that first round against each other where you had the experience. So I came in cold last time, dude, and shat the bed coming in 3rd. But kid's poised right now. He's poised. And you know what? He's feeling good about it.
This is going to make it sweet to not have to front run the whole time. So hopefully you can just keep that 2 to 5 point lead all the way to the end, and then shit the bed. And really, I'd like to see fury in your eyes by the end of the season.
We'll see, dude. First of all, you know I'm a great loser. It's fine. I'm normally very mature about these things. And second of all, man, I'm ready. The pace car's gotten off the road. The kid's in front now.
Yeah, we got we're picking the Strike Force card tonight later on, and you know, a lot of those fights, to me at least, are gimmies. I think they're somewhat obvious. I think it depends on you know, the method and the rounds and everything might be the difference this weekend rather than winners and losers.
So yeah, that's definitely going to be the difference, trying to pick those fights 100% correct. But congratulations, Dolo. What am I, 10 points behind Dolo?
Yes, you're 10 points behind Dolan, and you're 8 points behind me. So right now it's 88, 86, 78. So all 3 of us are within 10 points, so it could literally change every week. It's been very competitive the first half of the season.
Well, we'll see where it goes, Professor. But, you know, one thing I said to Nick on Friday night was the disparity between mine and Nick's picks and B. Brown's picks, because virtually B. Brown's picks are my picks. That's how that works.
Hey.
We had mirror picks. But, you know, I'm just going to say that's my greatness, and I'm happy to have you on board. But our picks were so different, and for me to only take a 2-point lead going in tied was actually pretty crazy, the way things worked out.
Well, basically what happened, we all three of us had Jimmy Hetties in that fight, and then you guys had the same exact picks, and I had the exact opposite picks of what you guys had, so we each picked correctly the first fight, and then the last 4 fights, we each were 2-2. So I got 2 of them correctly, and you guys got 2 of them correctly. The difference for me, I was pissed at myself because I think I got a little too cute with that Matt Yushchenko pick. I really wasn't feeling that. As soon as they started fighting, I was like, there's no fucking way this old man's got a chance here. And that was just a terrible pick, I think. And I knew that you guys were taking Gustafsson. I thought Matt Yushchenko had a puncher's chance, so I got a little too cute with that pick, and it cost me the lead.
It certainly did, and we're happy you picked Vladimir. I know when Vladimir got knocked out, I thought I was going to be coasting the rest of the way, but it didn't really work out that way. But at least I'm only 10 points behind Dole. At least I paced him.
Yeah, no, I want to say with that the janitor pick, I was gloating in Franco's face, and then I was promptly put on my ass along with John Fitch with Jimi Hendrix, and just it was over after that as far as my gloating. So.
Yeah, that was a bit of a shocker. That was definitely a bit of a shocker. I guess we should jump in and get on with it with UFC 141. Obviously, it was a pretty good card from top to bottom. A lot of some shocking stuff, some not so shocking stuff, but obviously the main event pitted Brock Lesnar versus Alistair Overeem. I'm not exactly shocked how it turned out. I know I picked Lesnar in that fight, but Franco, since you got it right, I want you to start it off. Tell me all about it.
Well, I was, me and Dolan watched the fight together. I was rooting for Lesnar. I've always been a Lesnar fan, but, I had thought that he looked different, that towards the build-up of the fight, he seemed like he was mean again, he was angry again, and it looked like the same Brock Lesnar that beat up Frank Mir the second time, and looked like he had recovered from his illness and whatnot, but I think it was pretty apparent that he really wasn't there to fight. I think, as soon as the fight was over, he announced that he was going to retire. To me, he looked out of shape. He looked like he had a belly. I know he's always been sort of a big guy, but he didn't look like he was in the best shape. It looked like he was looking for a way out of that fight. As soon as he started getting hit, it looked like he didn't really want to be there. He said after the fight that he had promised his wife that this was going to be the last fight if he lost. If he won this fight, he was going to fight for the title, and that was going to be it. I think he had one more payday in him. He got paid. He got a disclosed pay of $400,000 minus pay-per-view numbers and everything. He probably made, $1 to $1.5 million for the fight. I don't think that his heart has been in it ever since he's been sick. I think this was literally just a paycheck. I don't think he trained that hard for this fight. These are just my opinions. I'm not obviously there training with the guy, but the fact that he retired so quickly after that fight, to me, it just looked like he was there to collect a paycheck. As soon as I think he would have rather have lost that fight and been able to retire than win the fight and have to keep training and fight another fight. It didn't look like his head was in the game. It almost looked like that kick that finished the fight. He took the kick. Me and Dolan actually rewinded it. We replayed it. It took him a second and a half to 2 seconds in real time to start wincing and hit the ground. Like I said, I think he was looking for a way out of the fight. I think he could have taken that kick without going to his knees and having the fight being finished. And I just didn't think that he looked like he wanted to be there. And Overeem's he's a fucking finisher. Say what you want about him, about steroids, about his cardio, about this, about that. A lot of people just saw that Fabricio Verdum fight, and they don't realize the kind of fighter that Overeem is. The guy's a beast. He's a legit force in heavyweight. And Lesnar, he overpowered Lesnar. He pushed him up against the cage. He was bullying him. And for the fact that Lesnar didn't really look like his head was in the game, even if it was, he wasn't going to last that round because Overeem was out for blood.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Overeem was definitely going in for the kill. I got to agree with you. Brock didn't look like he was really there mentally for the fight. I don't know, if he literally stepped in there and wanted to lose, was looking for a quick way out, but obviously his heart's not in it anymore. And, he was very timid. The one shot he tried was just a single leg, which he didn't even really put any effort in. And, he just gave it up right away. And like you said, Alistair was pushing him against the cage. Now either, maybe he's weaker, like you said, maybe he's not training as hard, or, his heart wasn't there, so he was figured I can't get this guy down. For whatever reason, he threw the game plan out the window if he even had one. But, I was a bit surprised. But I just want to say I've never had one bad thing to say about Alistair Overeem. I've always been on the guy's side. He looks great. And, he's a great striker, a great finisher. And, I'm an idiot for just hanging on to Brock's nuts because I should have trusted my gut and, pick my hero, Alistair Overeem, to win that fight and finish it out in the first round. And, I'm a little disappointed in myself, but I can't wait to ride this roller coaster of Alistair Overeem now.
If you trusted your gut, if you're going to trust your gut, we're going to be here all night waiting for that to finish.
Oh, jeez. That's hurtful. Jesus Christ. Let's move on.
I hear you, though, Dubs. I don't know if I probably more wanted Brock Lesnar to win that fight than anything else, and that was the thing that it's tough to pick. His fights, because I just want him to win because I want to see the guy, actually do well. So maybe I'm seeing things that aren't there half the time. But what got me was Overeem's a K1 champion. He's a big guy as much as, we talk shit about him. When I say we, I mean
Not
me
me.
and Dubs. Yeah, of course.
Never.
But, when I first watched the fight, Franco was calling dive, first of all. He was screaming that Lesnar took a dive.
Yeah, I'm still not completely convinced that. I'm not saying he threw the fight, but I think as soon as he had a way out of the fight, he took it.
Well, you had said that
Chris
on
Jericho
Friday.
agrees with Franco on that one.
Yeah, I mean, it didn't look,
I want to hear that.
there were people saying that about the Cain Velasquez fight, and I thought that was ridiculous. But, that fight, it really did, because like you said, he went for a half-ass shot. He was literally kickboxing with him. From the time the bell rang until the end of the fight, none of it made any sense. And especially watching that kick and a replay and everything, it just made me sort of scratch my head.
Yeah, but there's got to be something he took 2 steps away and then he went down and there was delayed reaction, and that's kind of what Nick and I kept rewinding to see. But, you hear certain times when people get body shots that it's not necessarily right away. I don't mean there's a 15-second delay, but when you get hit, you take that step or 2 back. It's when you inhale, when you try to take that first breath, that if you've cracked a rib or you've broken something or you even just got hit in the right spot, it might take a second. What disappointed me, and I'm not saying that means that, the kick just took him down and everything was kind of true, as far as his intentions, but I felt like what was disappointing when he took that knee against the cage, and, he got hit hard. He got lifted off the canvas, but that's what I was like, oh, shit. We've seen him get hit in the face before, Lesnar, and not like it and kind of cower, and when he took a body shot and was kind of immediately looking to kind of go down and tuck tail, I was like, all right, that's it. You can't be a professional fighter and not like to get hit at all. So I knew he was in trouble at that point. And did he take a dive? I don't know. I don't think he was on the take, but I think maybe he saw a way to get out. And I was disappointed though, because going in in the weigh-in, and he was like going nuts, and kind of to what Nick alluded to, he was kind of ornery and fired up all week. So I was like, oh shit, this is going to be awesome. And we were so excited to have this fight finally take place. And this was the awesome thing about Strikeforce being kind of swallowed up with the UFC. This was a fight that had been talked about and then actually came to fruition due to this juncture that they're in now. So when it happened and it just wasn't as exciting and competitive as I thought, I was more disappointed. But I don't know. It'll be cool. I think Overeem will have a better shot against JDS than Lesnar after seeing that fight. So
one thing about Brock Lesnar, I think Brock Lesnar's out for Brock Lesnar. He takes care of himself. For lack of a better term, he sort of fucked over WWE when he was there. They put a lot of money into promoting him. They had him beating their top guys, and he just up and left one day. He went out for the Minnesota Vikings. He missed it. He just up and left one day. He's sort of doing the same thing to the UFC. It seemed like Dana White felt like he'd been taken for a ride after the fight. He didn't look that happy. That's just sort of his MO. He's a guy that had never even heard of Alistair Overeem before this fight. He's a guy that doesn't follow mixed martial arts. When Chael Sonnen this was after Chael Sonnen's big fight with Anderson Silva, the biggest fight probably of, I think that was 2010, and Chael Sonnen made some sort of a quote about Brock Lesnar, and somebody asked him about it, and Brock Lesnar had no idea who Chael Sonnen was. He literally, I don't think he was ever really a student of the game the way he should have been fighting at that level. He didn't watch other people fight. He just worried about his own training. And I think after his illness and everything else that's happened, I think his heart just wasn't in it anymore. And as we've seen in the past, once he's done with something, he's done with it. And I think he knew that this was going to be his last fight. And, he's going to be back in WWE. He'll be at WrestleMania this year, I guarantee it. Because now
I agree
he'll give him $1 million and he'll work for 2 weeks.
Yeah, I agree with that point 100%. And I agree with some of the things you're saying, Franco. I disagree with some others. I definitely think Brock's definitely out for himself in a lot of respects. Like you said, he's probably not, 100% dedicated student of the game because, obviously, his athleticism and everything, a lot of things obviously came easily athletically to him in the course of his life. And then, of course, he had a minute run in the UFC right at the beginning. But I think, Brock definitely, from watching the fight, I don't think he threw it, but I think what he did, his head wasn't there. He gave up because of, obviously his health issues and everything. He didn't want to do it anymore. But I think he kind of approached the fight like, kind of like with a professional wrestling mentality. I think he put on a work. He sold the fight. He got in there, and you know what? If he could have won, he would have won. He didn't really care whether he won or not. He went in there, and in other words, even though obviously this is a real sport, he went in there and he put the guy over. He wasn't going to back out of it because that would have made him look like an asshole overall. But also, he wanted out, but he also wanted to do the right thing. He didn't want to just ditch out on the fight and fuck the card over and fuck the UFC over.
No,
so I think he went in there and took those shots and literally put Alistair Overeem over. Not that he needed to, but kind of in the States, now people know who Alistair Overeem is, and he beat up the monster.
Yeah, I agree. I know what you're saying. A couple things. I think you're right. In my head, at least, what I'm thinking, logically, is that he's thinking, all right, it's probably going to. I want to take the least amount of punishment that I can take here, and and get TKO'd. So he gets that body kick. He takes 2 steps back. He takes a knee and he covers his head up immediately. He's totally conscious. He's totally there. He's not covering up his body because his body's what hurt him. I'm thinking in his head, okay, he's take a couple shots, but he's got real good defense on the ground. And for like Dylan had said, he sort of did a really good job of hyping this fight up, and he looked, he was mean during the weigh-ins, and he was sort of intense, but he gets a piece of the pay-per-view numbers. So at the same point, he gets 400,000 to close and a portion of the pay-per-view numbers. So, he sold the fight very well like a professional wrestler, and, he was trying to drum up as many buys as possible. But I think in his heart he knew he wasn't winning this fight, and I think he was trying to get out of there, taking the least amount of damage possible, and I think he did that.
I agree with you. I think especially when Dolan pointed out with the knees that he was getting caught with, I think that's definitely when the full decision in his head went off and said, I got to get out of here, because I don't think he's ever been hit that hard. I mean, Overeem hit those knees clean, and you saw his expression change. So,
the first knee,
that's where I think one...
I'm sorry. The first knee was better than that kick that finished him. That first knee was fucking brutal, and he took it, and you could tell it affected him, but he just doesn't get hit like a fighter gets hit. Now, if I were in there and I were to get hit, that's the way I would fucking cower, and that's your human reaction, and he just doesn't take a hit like a professional fighter who gets hit every day of his life takes it. I don't know if he just never got used to it or he just wasn't training properly, but he doesn't take a hit like a fighter, and it's obvious every time he fights.
And to not even be reaching for a leg there, Nick, that was my complaint on Friday, and it continues to be my complaint, that after he got hit, like you said, he was still conscious, he covered up. Overeem took every punch to that forearm, so he was just hitting them in the same spot. Like, after taking 3 or 4 or whatever, like the rest, Lesnar fight is always looking for a reason to keep it going. I mean, look at the Carwin fight. Many people said that should have been stopped and it should have been over in the first. They are going to probably, given the directive going in, that if you know what's good for you, you need to make sure you give Lesnar every chance. And if it goes the other way, not hop in early, but, we want things to be advantageous for Brock Lesnar. But to just not reach for a leg, and I mean, even he's a wrestler. He doesn't like to be on his back. And Overeem is a decent submission artist, but even pull guard if you just need to get away. I mean, you have the fence against you.
Yeah, and he didn't
just roll.
Listen, there was no major injuries. There was no broken ribs. He pretty much popped up afterwards, and he was okay. I mean, I'm not saying it didn't hurt. I'm not saying that it was a fake shot or anything like that, but I'm saying, I think it's pretty clear, like you had just said, Bill, and I think he was checked out at that point, and he was ready, he's ready for it to be stopped because, it wasn't that brutal of a kick, really, to be, in all honesty.
Yeah, no doubt.
It was kind of in the liver, though.
No, but I mean, dude, no doubt it sucked. There's no two ways about it. But, I mean, you make a decision, as Nick said, as a fighter, that, in the beginning you may just be from a certain situation or a certain mentality. You do just get up. But, the human reaction hit like that is to just basically cower and do whatever. But as a fighter, you've made that choice that I will be conscious to go the other way. I will
and you can't
go to my primal thoughts and just fight back at all costs. And not only fight back, but try to put myself even in a more advantageous position than just trying to, let me get through.
I definitely agree with all that. And obviously we know Brock doesn't like to get hit, and he's not used to being hit. And the kick was kind of in the area of the liver. I mean, liver shots have dropped tough dudes who really do fight for a living and take a lot of punishment, and they've taken a step back and then taken a knee because they've been so brutal. Now, this is Brock Lesnar, who doesn't like to be hit. We all three of us agree he checked out earlier in the fight. Even if it was a glancing liver shot, it's still going to hurt, and a guy like him, is going to crumple. Now, whether he went down and just said, fuck it, I'm out, or, maybe he was like, holy fuck, that hurt,
Yeah, no doubt, dude.
Liver shots are bad.
Dude, you have Pat Barry in your camp, who is a highly skilled and successful kickboxer. So if he's in your camp and you're not training the Muay Thai clinch and the knees and the kicks, then what the fuck are we doing? Basically, you just have kind of the stigma that was put on earlier. Lesnar just surrounded himself with yes men. And another thing is, after the surgery and what have you, or if his heart's not in it, he just wasn't as fast as he used to be.
Exactly.
That instinct. Where Keith Haring, he hit him and he dove across, and he just didn't have that. And I'm sure after he started getting better and all that, he was probably lifting as much as he always did. And he was doing, pull the tire throw as much as he always was. But that stuff you can look good doing, but when you lose your speed, especially at heavyweight, then you no longer have that advantage. So, you could just see that it wasn't the same. Even the Carwin fight, he had never taken damage like that, even in his losses. So to be able to stand in front and get hit, and, I'll give it a testament, maybe that's what we need to see a John Jones go through to where we say this guy's legit. But, Lesnar's 5-3, and I was rooting for him because I was a fan of wrestling, and I think he was the main guy who actually had a shot. Whether it was your Lashley's or your Batista, this was a legitimate guy with, an All-American and a championship in college in his background, and he moves like that. So that's why I was rooting for him, but that's probably, again, what made me hold on a fight too long or two and actually pick him and root for him because I just wanted to see it happen so well. I probably was trying to will it to happen.
Yeah, I definitely wanted to see Brock pull it out and get back to where he was, but... I guess he made the right decision because if the guy doesn't want to get hit and he ain't going to train as hard, he's got no business being in there because he's just going to get hurt or he's going to look like a fool. And he is going to take legitimate dives. So,
and like Nick said, he'll be at WrestleMania and he'll make $1 million. And after that fight, what can Dana White do with him? The mystique and why he was able to sell out all these pay-per-views and whatnot was that he was who he was and he was the baddest bastard or whatever the hell he wanted to say, but he was actually backing it up and it was blowing people's minds, so he was making money. And even when he lost to Kane, that's one thing, gets a title fight. Then he gets the Ultimate Fighter. Then he does this. Even if he loses, it depends on how he loses. You might be able to go on, but I'll still see a Lesnar fight. But if it's the main event now, I don't want to pay $60 to see him just puss out.
No, well, I think Dana's gonna release him because I thought that was Brock's last fight on his contract, but Dana
the word was
the effect that he was still on contract.
The word was before there was a bunch of rumors going around before that fight that win, lose, or draw, Brock was going to sign a 5-fight extension, this, that, and the other thing. And I think Dana was sort of blindsided by it. But there's a couple things. He can. I'm not sure if this is really that plausible because I'm almost getting the impression that Dana White feels sort of burned from this. That they paid him a lot of money, they put a lot of promotion. He's made some money for the company, but I think they almost feel like they've been used by him. I think they feel like they were used for this last promotion. Regardless of all that, he's 34. He's probably going to keep himself in shape. There's no saying that in 3 years he might come back for a one-off fight against, I'm not saying it could be anybody at that point, but I wouldn't be shocked. He's never going to be a full-time fighter, but there's always the possibility that they can bring him in for a one-off fight against another big name who's got a lot of pay-per-views. I wouldn't be shocked if we saw him fight at least one more time in the UFC a couple of years down the road.
Maybe. You never know.
He's going to sell pay-per-views. He's going to sell pay-per-views. if he's willing to do that and they give him a big payday, he would fight again. I think he would almost do anything for the money.
Yeah, and so if it's 2 years or 3 years from now, where he's not 43, but enough time's gone by, people might be salivating for that because
exactly
makes the heart grow fonder. So we might pump him up to be. We'll remember the 5 wins way more than the 3 losses.
Sure.
It'll be more remember that time he did this or that.
Good. Yeah, exactly. Good fight promotion can sort of twist anything around to make people excited about it. They can talk about how he's reinvigorated as the sport, and he's just totally. They can say whatever they want. They can get people hyped up for the fight. Now, the chances of that happening are probably slim, but I wouldn't be completely shocked if he did take one more fight in a couple of years.
Yeah, and we as the American public would probably put like unrealistic characteristics on our athletes. So we would certainly be able to put, we'd be able to put, ourselves in that lens where we would just be like, that's just going to be awesome, and, he's been in solitude and whatnot, and it would, it would work out. We expect these certain things, so sometimes we would just make it's kind of suspension of disbelief, if you will.
Absolutely, yeah, definitely. All that I know is that with all the fallout, I know I'm definitely buying WrestleMania this year. And I'm assuming that Brock Lesnar is going to be feuding with Chris Jericho since Jericho has been taken to Twitter and called him a quitter. And, I can't wait to see it. I can't wait to see it. Big Brock Lesnar, maybe Paul Heyman will be behind him again.
Yeah, I got Monday Night Raw in the background. I was just watching John Cena and Kane beefing.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah,
I'm going to check that out in a little bit. I guess we'll move on to the What's that?
I said Kane went back to the mask. It's on.
Oh, thank God. Thank God.
Yeah,
now I'm going to start watching again because I couldn't take that horrific, ugly face of his. Because, it was supposed to be so disfigured and everything.
He's almost too handsome.
Moving on to the...
the fact that you
moving on to the co-headliner of the night. Pitted Nate Diaz versus Donald the Cowboy Cerrone. And it was a tough fight for me to call, and I definitely got who I wanted to win the fight, but I'm a huge Cowboy fan. Dola, tell us about it.
I was kind of blown away by Nate Diaz's performance. Nick and I were joking that I can't believe Nick Diaz dropped to 155. He looks that much more like his brother every time he fights, just with that style. And I just kind of like the way he changed. I wouldn't say he changed his striking, but I feel like he's kind of changed the amount of energy or validity he puts on some of his pawing jabs and whatnot. But I mean, that was ridiculous with the build-up, and Cerrone being the one to lose his cool and then flip off Diaz at the stare down. And he came out and he went nuts, and then he looked slow. I mean, we were talking about an adrenaline dump or what have you, but he even alluded to it at the end of the fight, in the post-fight conference that he got caught up in the hype and whatnot. But Diaz actually broke some records. He was that good that night. He actually landed 82% of his strikes, which is insane. And it wasn't only that; it was more the amount of output and accumulation. He landed 258 of 314 strikes to Cerrone's 33%, landing 66 of 200. So he threw 114 more punches and then landed at an 82% rate. And he just absolutely picked Cerrone apart. And Cerrone is actually a guy who, through the CompuBox, is extremely efficient and is normally one of your more accurate, strikers. And it was impressive. I'm excited to see what happens with Nate Diaz now. He's back where he belongs at 155. And we were joking around as well that, Nate Diaz is 26 years old. And Nick Diaz is 28 years old. So, normally we see these guys, because the sport is kind of still new to an extent, that when we see these guys hit their stride and whatnot, they're hit, and we are now relevant, they're relevant to us. They're hitting their stride at 32, 33 years old. So these two kids have grown up in front of everybody, and Nick Diaz fought at 20 years old in the UFC, and Nate was probably 21. So they put in all this time, and they're getting better and better, and their best years are still ahead of them. So I'm kind of fired up to see, what's next for Nate Diaz. And Cerrone's far from done, too. So, it'll be fun.
Yeah, definitely. Like I said, it was a little bittersweet for me. I know I picked Nate to win the decision last week, but, like I said, I'm a huge Cowboy fan, so whoever would have came out on top, I would have been happy. But, I was like you, dude. I was so impressed and so kind of in shock how dominant Nate Diaz was. I mean, he didn't really have a problem at all. The only thing that Cerrone was able to do is he got a couple trips in, but he didn't do anything with it. He didn't follow it up, didn't go to the ground when he did trip him, and I assume that's because he really respected Diaz's jiu-jitsu game. I know Cerrone has a bunch of subs on his record too, but I guess he didn't really want to go down there and get tangled up because he was worried that if he did it, Diaz was either going to choke him out or get a good reversal in a very advantageous position. So, but they stayed on the feet, and like you said, he threw a ridiculous amount of strikes, landed a ridiculous amount of strikes, and, Nate Diaz is definitely back where he belongs, and he's definitely rising to the top of that division. He's definitely more focused now, and like you said, he just looked like a carbon copy of his brother, just throwing these a lot of strikes, a lot of unorthodox strikes, but they're all landing, and he's just punishing his opponents.
Yeah, I think that fight really surprised me. I really felt very confident in Cerrone. That might have been the fight I was the most confident. But I think that it goes to show that the mental aspect of this game is a lot bigger than is given credit for. I think, like we were talking about with Lesnar and Overeem, I think Lesnar went in there in the wrong state of mind, and that's what caused them to lose. I think similarly in this Donald Cerrone fight, I think there was a big adrenaline dump. I think all of this lead up for the fight sort of played some tricks on his mind. He's a guy that has seen a sports psychologist and has had anxiety issues in the past. So mentally, he isn't the strongest, and he's admitted that. So I think that he was so amped up for this fight. He obviously gave the finger before the fight started. They rang the bell, and he came out like a ball of fire. He threw one or two really big, powerful strikes that he sort of missed, and Nate Diaz was able to clinch onto him. They went up against the cage. There was some dirty boxing, and they were clinching for, I think it was like the first minute and a half. They released the clinch, and Donald Cerrone literally looked like he just fought a 3-round war. He looked tired immediately.
Damn.
And, besides the fact, as soon as they released the clinch, Nate Diaz hit him with 5 or 6 solid strikes and continued hitting him for the next 15 minutes. But I think he got tired very quickly. He was never really able to recover. He took a beating in that first round. Found a little bit of rhythm in the second round. He squeezed his leg a couple times. I think one of the judges actually gave that round to Cerrone. He was starting to sort of figure it out a little bit. The fact of the matter was he was never able to get a rhythm. Nate Diaz's hands were in his face the entire fight. I think he should have at some point tried to play the jiu-jitsu game or try to impose his wrestling. I think, he was getting beat up. He knew he was getting beat up, and he's sort of a straightforward guy. Even afterwards, he said, I talked a lot of shit for this fight, and he really shut me up. He was beating my ass. I think that he literally, in his head, was taking the ass beating, and he was going to take the ass beating, and he was just, he had he just accepted the fact that he was getting his ass beat. He was just going to take a beating like a man, and that's the way the fight was playing out. And he was going to sit there and he was going to bang with him, and he was getting the shit kicked out of him. And I think he took it like a true fighter should take a beating. But Diaz was awesome.
There's got to be merit in that.
No, I mean, honestly, I think he was standing and banging with him, and there was probably a smarter way to go about it at a certain point when it was obvious that Diaz was picking him apart, and he wasn't doing anything. So he didn't even try anything else. I think he just sort of reserved himself to the fact that he was losing. Yeah, absolutely, dude. I thought he got his jaw broken in the first round, but either way, when the leg sweeps and whatnot started working, some of it was probably that the Cowboy had softened up Diaz's front leg with some leg kicks, but it was also just a positioning type thing, and it almost became just more of an annoyance than anything because he would just kick him and he'd go down, and then Diaz would get up and he would pick him apart for 25 to 45 seconds, and it would just keep happening, and it was just like, this is all you got, and you have to change it up. There is a certain merit in, getting your balls beaten, off like a man, I guess, but it obviously wasn't the game plan, and you could see Greg Jackson kind of getting upset with him in the end of the first and going into the third round. He not that he was going nuts, but for his emotion, it's raising his voice and whatnot, so they were pointing that out, but I just felt like, he took his beating like a man, but I think he just bought into the whole thing. It was just too much for him, so I don't know, whatever. I know it's hard for you, Dubs, but either way, I guess if there's a Cowboy on the top or the bottom, Dubs is all right.
I'm okay with it. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's what I like. What do you think? What do you think's next for both these guys, Dalam?
We'll see, man. A Gray Maynard would always be fun because, as you had alluded to earlier when we were off the air, that, Guard and Jim Miller are fighting. So maybe a Maynard. I wouldn't mind seeing him fight. I hate to say it. I don't give him pub. But, a Clay Guida, because he is one loss removed from, a title shot. And he didn't get, handled against Ben Henderson. It was a good fight that played out the way his fights always do. If he can't lay on you, he's just going to, kind of in the same breath, take his beating like a man. But, maybe see that fight because he'll be game. But it'll be interesting. I think Diaz is 2 fights away from a title shot. I think he wins another, pretty good fight and then fights the number 1 contender. He gets the shot.
Yeah, I would like to see Diaz fight Maynard again, just because I know he hates the guy's guts, and I feel, Maynard beat him, but he was definitely pissed in that fight, and he would like to get that win back, So I'd definitely like to see that. Maybe the other guy can fight Donald Cerrone, just because. They both lost, like you said. He got eliminated from a title eliminator fight, whereas Maynard's coming off the title fight. He's the bigger name, So maybe Nate Diaz moves on there, fights him, and, if he beats him, he moves close to the top.
Don't forget my boy Pettis.
I always forget about Pettis.
What do you think, Franco? Nick? What do you want to say?
I think they're all interesting at 155. There's so many good fights. I wouldn't mind seeing Maynard and Diaz again, and if Diaz were to win that fight, maybe giving him a shot. And as far as Cerrone, both guys, I think Diaz is 26, Cerrone was 28, something along those lines. Both guys are going to be around for a while. The loss doesn't kill Cerrone. Probably good for him. I still think he's going to be a contender. Diaz looks like he's coming into his own, like Dolan mentioned. He looks like his the smaller version of his brother, and he's not an easy fight for anybody. But just like his brother, I think a big, strong wrestler gives him problems, and there's a lot of those at 155. The 2 guys. Ben Henderson and Frankie Edgar is not big, but he's a strong wrestler. Gray Maynard. I think that the real cream of the crop of that division might give Diaz some problems, but, we'll see. If he can sort of work on his takedown defense, I think he could beat anybody.
Yeah, the fun part is we will see, We all win in the process.
Yeah. It's definitely going to be interesting in the 155-pound division. Moving on to the next fight, pitted the janitor. What's that, bud?
I'm sorry. I just said 55 is the best. To think that we didn't have it too that long ago in the UFC, and it's hands down the best division from like 1 through 15.
Oh yeah, there's just so many good fighters in that division. But moving on to the next fight, pitted the janitor Vladimir Matyushenko versus Alexander the Mauler Gustafsson, and I know Franco decided to pick this old fossil in the fight. So Franco, what were your feelings during this fight?
Yeah, I mean Gustafsson, he's going to be a contender. I read an article saying he was the white John Jones, and he's got those long limbs. He's got really good striking. Matyushenko isn't going to make a title run anytime soon, and I thought he might have a puncher's chance in the fight.
He better do it soon, Nick. He's 40.
He can't do it later.
Yeah, man, I'm taking my beating for this pick. This is probably the worst pick that I've made in the 2.5 seasons that we've been doing this, so I deserve all this bullshit. But
I know there was another one, but I don't have time to look through my notes. There was a pretty bad one way back that we gave you shit about.
But yeah, it was a terrible pick, and Gustafsson looks like a stud, and I'm interested to see where they put him next.
Yeah, I got to take my shots at you when I can, because I'm not feeling too confident when I come back this time around. I know every other time I was, but I'm not feeling this one. Obviously the Gustafsson took care of business, and he knocked him out in the first round. I know Dolo picked the same thing, but it just went as I expected it.
Yeah, I mean, I felt more first round because Matyushenko had won his last 2 fights in first-round knockouts, and Gustafsson had, I think 7 of his whatever, maybe 9 or now 10 wins. Well, I guess it'd be 8 of 10 if it worked out that way. We're in the first round, so I just felt like he was too long, and Matyushenko, he's good. He was the headliner UFC 38 against Tito, so that'll tell you something. But I mean, the guy's got a great career and a better career than a lot of guys. So there's no shame in that. But I just love it. I was killing Franco. He had the Papa hat, the old man hat on. Just come out with a plunger or something. But he got cramps and it was good.
Hanging out of his ass.
Yeah, exactly. Just swinging on the belt, swinging them bangs,
swinging every step.
That's it, dude. Don't believe the hype. But, yeah, I mean, it kind of went the way I thought it was going to go, but, that's why I'm in first. That's what winners do.
Back to shitty toilets for Matt Yushenko, I guess.
The last fight of the night pitted Namfan versus Jimmy the Kid Hettis. I think we all were in agreement on how this one was going to end. Maybe we each had a different way of it ending. But, Hettis took care of business. He definitely was in control of that fight from the opening bell to the end. But, Namfan, I kind of feel bad for him. He just can't get any footing. He's obviously a game fighter. He didn't get subbed. He's never been subbed. And he definitely took his beating. But, I don't know if he's going to get – I don't think he's going to get released. He didn't have a shitty performance, but he definitely didn't look great either. What do you feel, Dolo?
I think it was the circle of life. One career ending while another had a coming-out party. It was extremely impressive. He absolutely dominated Namfam, and at first I was just being a cocky asshole in the way he was putting it on him in the first round, which I think 2 of the 3 judges had it at 10-8 round. He just absolutely killed him, and the efficiency of his strikes while in Nam's, I guess you could call it guard, but he was standing, so he wasn't fully in guard. It was insane. He was just hitting every punch, and then had a couple of different sub attempts, almost, got the arm bar at the end of the first, and then I was being greedy, and I was like, oh, nice, here we go, second round. But he just put a clinic on, and I guess certain texts came into Rogan, I forget who said it, but he's a purple belt, Hettis is, at present, I think with Ricardo Almeida, and he was saying, Jesus, this kid's a purple belt? I hate to see what a black belt does, yeah.
Jesus.
So it was pretty awesome. I think he's a guy who's going to give anybody trouble. Because although he does want to go for submissions, I think a message was sent that he has more than adequate striking to either take it there or just basically keep people at bay and pick them apart. He looked awesome, and he's 24. So it's really going to get great. He's with that great camp with, I think the Miller boys sometimes, but he trains with Frankie and all those guys. So he's legit, and his star's rising.
Yeah, I think he looks really good. I think it is it for Fan. That's he's 2-5 in his last 7. And, so I think he's going to be out of there. And Hettis looked really good. He still looked a little bit green. It seemed like he wasted some. It was exciting. He was going for the finish really hard in the first round, and that's exciting to see as a fight fan. But it looked like he wasted some energy. He wasted some shots. It looked like it almost looked like he was going to gas. He never gassed, so probably because he was so young and he was so excited for the fight. But Sam was actually a 2.5 to 1 favorite in that fight. I guess just because of the experience factor and because the kids were so young. But he looked really good, and he sort of dominated him. We got to go back and talk about. You guys all for this. John Fitch and Johnny Hendricks. We didn't break that fight.
What? Wait a minute. I thought we were done with this card. What are you talking about?
No, I'm not letting you guys off the hook because you both you both treated me like a Salem witch when I picked Johnny Hendricks, and I basically said the guy's got punching power, he's got the wrestling to keep it on his feet. Now, it happened a lot faster than I thought, but it's time for you two gentlemen to take your medicine.
Come on.
Yeah. You perpetual victim.
I was trying to move the show along, all right?
Awesome.
Just so everybody knows, Johnny Hendricks knocked John Fitch out in the first round, and finally we can shut Fitch up about getting a title shot, and he can stop going to his Twitter and his video blogs and his fucking Dolce diet, and he can go back to the prelims where he belongs and bore 8,000 people instead of 20,000 people in the stadiums like he's so.
Jesus, dude, how do you really feel? So you're telling me you're a Fitch fan?
No, it's just enough. I'm tired of hearing the guy fucking whine and talk about being a vegan and everything. Like, you know what? Go fucking knock somebody out.
He might have done everybody a favor, Hendricks did. I mean, he looked awesome. I think he looks like Dominic from Eatontown with a bushy beard, personally. But, I think Dominic has a meaner left hand. We'll see. I saw him putting out the burgers on New Year's, so that left hand's mean. I thought it was awesome. He loaded up. Apparently, he was all over the fight when Joe Silva called him. He was excited and whatnot. So we'll see. This was a big step up in comp for him, and we'll see what happens next, man. He's another guy like Diaz. I'm excited to see what's next, and there are two guys who will fight anybody. So.
Yeah, I was definitely shocked by this. I know I gave you shit about it, Franco. We all agreed he had power in his hands. We just didn't think he was going to get a chance to use it. We figured this was going to end up on the mat real quick. And obviously it did for John Fitch. It was done in 12 seconds. That's why I guess I just glazed over and forgot about this fight. There wasn't much to it. Johnny Hendricks definitely, he landed that shot, he made it count, and then he fouled it right down. I mean, he's lucky, Fitch is lucky Mazzagatti rushed in there as quick as he did, because he would have taken like 4 or 5 more bombs, you know. So, hats off to him. He's definitely...
Hey, Dubs, did Fitch and Shields go to the same college? Did they wrestle together? Because they both take reps down really well. They go for that double leg after they get knocked the crux out. And, I don't know.
I want to say this. The Shields fight was a little premature, the stoppage, okay? And just to clear it all up, they did not go to the same college, but Jake Shields has beasted John Fitch in grappling tournaments, all right? So let's
I saw a video of those two grapplers back in the day.
Yeah, that's because you can't throw those pillow hands.
He's the only guy who submitted John Fitch in grappling tournaments, okay? Jake Shields, who's hit a bit of a rough patch himself in his career, but he's going to be back when he takes out Sexyama in February, okay? And then we'll see who's laughing, Dolan. All right? Then we'll see who's laughing. I'll make you eat those words.
No, I can't wait.
So, Franco, congrats to you, buddy. You know, I really didn't see that coming. Yeah. I think you picked Hendricks by decision, right?
I mean, listen, I didn't think he was going to knock him out in 12 seconds. I didn't think he was going to knock him out, but I was happy to see it because I like Hendricks and I don't like John Fitch, so it was exciting for me.
I don't dislike John Fitch, but, you know, I was getting sick of him running his mouth, like you said. So, you know what? It's kind of a good thing because now Hendricks can move up the ranks, and Fitch has now got to go to work because nobody likes him. So now the UFC is going to put him down as a gatekeeper until he can improve and move back to the top of that division.
Yeah. It's one thing for you to bore people when you're winning. It's another when you're losing because then you can't justify being relevant in kind of placement of cards any longer. So he's another loss away from really being in trouble. But, you know, I don't want to jump on the bandwagon yet because the guy did win a ton of fights, you know, going into the St. Pierre fight, and he was 7-1-1 since. So I don't want getting caught once to be the end of his career by any means. But, you know, his next match is very important about which way he's going to go at a fork in the road, so to speak.
Well, boys, I know we only have 10 minutes left, and we're going to hit Strikeforce card pretty quickly. We're going to run through it. I know we don't want to bore everybody to death, but first, we're going to take a phone call. If it ever picks up. Hey, caller, you're on the air. What's going on?
What's going on, boys?
Hey, what's going on, buddy?
Oh, there he is.
I had to call in. I was shocked at how much you hate Fitch there, Nick.
Yeah, no, you know what? I complain that he's boring, and I think a lot of people complain that way, but he's one of these guys that like uses the internet as sort of marketing, which is fine. I think it's smart, but he's always complaining for title fights. He comes off as sort of preachy with his whole vegan point of view. It just kind of rubs me the wrong way.
Nobody likes that.
And you know, it just seems like a bunch of tree huggers, you know, are following this guy, and I just don't, you know. Even Dana White, they asked him before this fight about how John Fitch has been, lobbying for a title shot. Dana said, listen, he had his shot. He lost. Now he's put some wins together. He's obviously in the mix, but he said John Fitch needs to have a reality check. If you go and you ask most of these people in this crowd, they're not here to watch John Fitch fight. And until he starts putting some asses in the seats and putting on some exciting fights, you know, we're not going to be, you know, he hasn't really earned that title shot yet. People aren't clamoring for that fight other than him. So I don't hate anybody personally. If I ever met him, he'd probably break my neck. But he just kind of rubs me the wrong way.
My question is, when there's nobody around you, do you call him Black John Fitch?
Oh, exactly, dude.
I know Frank gets a little preachy with his racism sometimes, you know?
Yeah, I know. That's where I was going to go.
That's how he separates people that he likes and doesn't like, apparently.
For all those who missed last week's show, I suggest you check in. This is a clan meeting if Nick Frank has his way. Because last week, this animosity here is between Steve and Nick because Nick felt the need to, reference Black Steve. And it was horrible. Nobody co-signs. Nick's been fined, and he had to go to a few shelters with Miguel Torres and a few others. And, luckily we're working on it, Steve. But, yeah, we'll put that in this.
If you think that's bad, wait till the breakdown of the King Mo fight. You might want to turn your radio off.
Franco, take that foot off over there, all right?
Jesus, I love King Mo. I love King Mo, and I love Steve.
That's all I got. I just had to check in with that.
Yeah, that's it.
All right, Steve.
All right,
buddy.
Later, boys.
Take it easy.
Unbelievable. Bye-bye. Another listener scorned by the wrath of the diva, Nick Frank. My God.
Oh, man.
All right,
I'm
guys.
cut off of the entire market. Let's make these Strike Force picks. I'm taking a lead at this weekend.
No, I definitely am. All right, we got 8 minutes left. So it's Strike Force Jardine versus Rockhold. Obviously, the main event pits the Dean Amin Keith Jardine versus Luke Rockhold for the middleweight championship. I'm going to go to you, Franco, first. Who you got in this one?
Yeah, let me just get a piece of paper so I can write shit down. I took all these notes, and it's going to sort of be a waste, but
I wrote no notes.
Okay, good. Both guys are really tough, and Jardine's 36 years old. Rockhold's sort of coming into his own, and he dominated Jacare Souza last time out, and I didn't expect him to win that fight. I expected him to get dominated. I think that Rockhold's going to be dominant in this fight, but Jardine's going to be really tough to finish, so I got Luke Rockhold decision.
Oof. Wow. Well, I got to disagree with you. I'm definitely going with Keith Jardine, and I'm going to pull out a shocker here. So, yeah, I'm going, not only am I going to shock everybody picking Keith Jardine, I'm going to pick Keith Jardine by third round TKO. I think the Dean Amin's been in some wars with some pretty high-level talent. Rockhold definitely did take care of Souza last time out. What was that?
I said, yeah, he lost them all.
Yeah, I suppose. He lost most of them, okay? He beat Chuck Liddell, remember? But, yeah, I think Keith Jardine's experience and is going to prove valuable in this fight. I'm picking Jardine TKO round 3.
I think Dubs is still drunk off Franco's Johnny Hendricks pick because that's the only explanation I got.
So, yeah, he fucked me up, but he had to bring that back up.
It's going to be a rough year for Dubs. I respect Jardine. He's a great fighter. It's impressive to see that we saw him start as a heavyweight on, the Ultimate Fighter 3, and now he's fighting at 185. But that being said, although he's game, I see Rockhold pretty much, going to handle his business here. He's 6-0 in Strike Force, 5 subs and 1 TKO. Due to the 5 subs, I'm saying Rockhold via sub in the third.
Wow, nice pick, Dolo. All right, next fight pits ruthless Robbie Lawler versus Adlan Amagov, also known as Borz. Dolo, who you got?
That's his nickname. I like it.
Yeah, I looked it up. I had to because I don't know who the fuck this guy is.
I mean, I'm a Robbie Lawler fan to an extent. I feel like Strike Force has pretty much been trying to, crop him up and pump him up for some time now. I was about to say, with looking at this, that I think Lawler's in the decline of his career and whatnot, and then I looked and the motherfucker's 28. So, I have a hard time saying that, but I just think he's taken too many shots and, similar to Franco, too many blows to the head or face. So I think that, basically, not that I think he's done, but I think, whatever his name is, Amagov, is, I think he's just going to handle his business. I have him first round TKO, so I really expect him to come out and catch Lawler because that's kind of how Lawler's fights go. Although he went to a draw with Tim Kennedy, who's game and now in the UFC, I just think he's kind of susceptible to getting caught because he likes to stand and bang. And we saw with Vanderlei Silva, if you do that too long, it's kind of over. So, yeah, I got first round knockout.
I definitely disagree with you. I go the complete opposite. I got Robbie Lawler, round 1 KO. He's only been knocked out once. And this Amagov guy is, I looked into his record. He's definitely a striker. He loves to stand and bang. I think that plays right into what Robbie Lawler wants to do. I think Robbie Lawler ends it quick, round 1 KO.
Well, at least I'll get distance from you.
I agree actually with Dubs 100%. I think that Amagav's never really fought anybody. He fought most of his fights in Eastern Europe and Russia and Ukraine. He's 2-0 in the Strikeforce Challenger Series. This is his first time on the main card. Robbie Lawler, like Dolan said, he's only 28, 29 years old, but I think he is past his prime. But this is a must-win fight for him. He's lost 3 of 4. Lawler really needs this win, and I think Amagav's the perfect matchup for him right now. Lawler's too much for him. They're going to stand and bang, and I think Lawler knocks down the second.
Nice pick. All right, the next fight pits King Mo, or as Franco would put it, Black King Mo Lowell versus Lawrence the Monsoon Larkin. Franco, who you got?
Well, I love Black Mo. He's a great fighter. He's got some big wins, though. He's relatively young in the sport, but he's beat Mark Kerr, Gegard Mousasi, knocked Roger Gracie out his last time out. I think he's a top 10 light heavyweight. I think he could compete in the UFC. He's got underrated boxing, great wrestling, good power. Lawrence Larkin, 12-0, 7-fight KO streak at one point in his career. I think he would love to have a victory over King Mo, be able to put that on his, put King Mo's head on his mantle, and it would sort of instantly boost him into becoming a player. I don't think that the time is right for Larkins quite yet. I think that King Mo's going to fight smart. He's going to take him down. He's going to control him on the ground, and have King Mo by decision.
I got to agree with you 100%, Franco. I got Mo by decision as well, just because of the wrestling. Larkin's a striker. He's definitely want to keep it on the feet, and Mo's going to take him down. And we all see Mo. He's got power, so if he does land a lucky shot, he could also knock him out. But I think it's going UD, King Mo.
I hate to agree, but I have it the same. I like Larkin a lot. He's a young, confident kid who feels like he has everything to gain and nothing to lose. I agree with Nick. It's just not his time. So although he's good and I think he will continue to be relevant, I don't think this is the fight. I think King Mo's on a mission. He's talked a lot of shit about people in the UFC, and he's a guy who believes in himself. I got King Mo via decision.
Yeah, I think that's definitely the way it's going to go. All right, the next fight pits Tyron Tabasco Woodley versus Jordan Young Guns Maine. Almost, I think, similar fight to the last fight. Dolo, how you got it?
Yeah, I like Woodley here to continue his win streak and go to 10-0. You know, very decorated wrestler. Won many titles, and I just think that he's really coming together as a fighter, and obviously with the wrestling base is strong, but his striking is improved, and he had his biggest win of his career against Paul Daly. So I just think he's a fighter who's ever improving and moving forward to where Jordan Maine is good, and he's got some wins over, you know, he's got Joe Riggs, who doesn't, and Josh Berkman, but I like Woodley via decision. I think his stars continue to climb.
Yeah, like I said, I think it's a similar fight to the last fight. Woodley's going to take this on his wrestling. It's going to be a UD. You know, Young Guns is going to want to try to knock him out. Woodley's going to take it down and work it for the unanimous decision.
Yeah, I have Woodley decision as well. I think he's the best fighter in the Strikeforce welterweight division, and I think they need to start giving him some bigger fights. I got Woodley decision.
Yeah, definitely. He's definitely got to be in line to win that vacant title. The last fight on the card pits Tarek Sponge Safadini versus Tyler the Evolution Stinson. Franco, hit it up.
Tarek Safadini is a really exciting fighter. He's a dream veteran. Stinson, 2-2 in Bellator, 1-0 in Strikeforce. I think this fight, as far as the main card goes, has got potential for fight of the night. Both guys have exciting styles. Safadini looked great against Scott Smith. He completely dominated him. I expect him to continue that, and I expect Safadini by a decision.
Wow. I disagree there. I think Stinson's got a lot of experience. You know, he likes to strike. He's knocked a bunch of people out now. He doesn't have a lot of big names on his record, but neither does Safadini. I think Stinson is going to take it. He's going to win by round 2 TKO.
Wow. Hate to agree with Nick again, but I got Safadini as well. I think he's definitely a good fighter. He's 11-3. He's strong all around, so I have him via decision. I think Stinson will be more than game, but I just think Safadini's ready to hit the next level a little bit.
Yeah, well, you know, we'll see. I think Stinson's experience plays out. But boys, we got 40 seconds left. Anything quick to throw in before I wrap it up?
I just want to throw in how happy I am that Dolan took Amagar, because I'm going to get the lead back this weekend, because that's the worst pick that he's ever made this entire season.
That is terrible.
Yeah, I got to agree with Nick. Who wants that to happen to me, so he has company making worst picks ever.
Dolan is the worst. That's a terrible pick. All right, we're going to wrap up the show. Everybody remember to check out, what is it, Roto Experts, I believe? Yeah, rotoexperts.com. The X-Log, I think it's called, .com, thexlog.com. Check out Nick Frank at nfrankrotox at Twitter. Check me out, Cauliflower, the number 4 ear at Twitter. Dolo, everybody check out his Facebook pictures, masturbate to him, and that's it. We're Cauliflower for the year, and we're tapping out.
Thanks for coming.
Stop.